certified inside and out. I'm privileged to be speaking with Lama Tsultrim, Allione. Lama Tsultrim will be a guest at the 3rd annual Telluride Yoga Festival in July. We're speaking at Taramandala, a spiritual retreat center in Pagosa Springs. Can you please help me contextualize the relationship between Buddhism and yoga?
Which is much more common between people who practice Buddhist meditation and people who practice Hatha Yoga in this country. And so I think I'll talk more about that because I think that's more what the Yoga Festival people would be interested in. The benefit of combining a physical practice of Hatha Yoga with a meditation practice is that when you are doing Hatha Yoga, it's not just like any kind of exercise. You're working with the subtle body and you're working with the prana. But prana is really much more than the breath. It's the life energy and it's what makes it all move. If the prana is disturbed, it's almost impossible to meditate. Originally, really, the yoga is meant to support the spiritual development and prepare you for meditation. There has been a lot of interface, America being America, and the melting pot between Buddhism and Hatha Yoga, and a lot of very highly qualified yoga teachers are Buddhist practitioners. And a lot of very highly qualified Buddhist practitioners practice yoga. For example, Scott and Chandra, Scott Blossom and Chandra Easton, who will be at the festival. They both are Buddhist practitioners. Chandra is a student of mine and has been for a long time. Scott is more recently started studying with me.
Why is meditation so juicy?
I think meditation is so juicy because it's getting to the core of why we're here. It's what takes us to our true condition. So much of what we do takes us away from our, what I would call our true nature or the ground of being. All of our work, all of our striving, and even so much of our exercise or sort of entertainment, it's all going out, 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 out. And that's really to resolve the fundamental anxiety that we experience due to the split from our true nature and the ground of being. And so when we start to meditate, I think there's a feeling of course, first you just notice a difference in your life, if you've meditated that day or you haven't. But then if you go deeper into your practice, then you start to feel like you're actually getting back to that ground of being, the non-dual state of pure presence.
At the Telluride Yoga Festival, you are scheduled to talk about on 2 very different topics. One of them is the one you just alluded to, the Prajnaparamita. So if you could explain that a little more deeply. And the second, and we'll get to that, is the content of your most recent book, Feeding Your Demons.
Pra is supreme or sublime, and na is knowing or wisdom. And paramita means either perfection or the gone beyond. So usually it's translated as the gone beyond of wisdom or transcendent wisdom. Prajnaparamita developed about 500 years after the time of the Buddha's life. It was a kind of eruption into Buddhism of a wisdom principle that was identified as feminine. So it was the first time that in Buddhism we had a feminine principle. And interestingly enough, it was at the same time that the Sophia teachings were very strong in the Mediterranean. And both Sophia and Prajnaparamita are unusual as goddesses in the sense that they are wisdom goddesses. They're transcendent wisdom goddesses. They're not goddesses of fertility, of the earth, of the moon, of the sun, or of nature in that sense. They have an emphasis, both of them, on this idea of turning within. Essentially, what I'll do when I teach Prajnaparamita at the festival, I'll give a little bit of history of how this teaching developed. And there's basically 4 phases of it. And then after that, I have a practice. It's actually a structured practice, which I'll go over, and then we'll do that together. And then what might seem really quite almost opposite, or certainly very different, is the teaching on feeding your demons. In a way, the Prajnaparamita and feeding your demons go together in the sense that Prajnaparamita is the absolute level, and the feeding your demons is working with the relative level.